All right, guys. Well, welcome back. The Late Night Level Up podcast. I'm your host, Jason Farrell. We've been on a bit of a hiatus. It's been a crazy few months, and been looking forward to getting back and getting back on this thing and lining up some guests. And fortunate to have Mr. Mark Greubel with us today. So thanks for taking the time, brother. Really appreciate it. I actually met Mark for the first time in Bosnia, of all places.
Yeah,
But I've known of Mark. We share a student, Miss Holly. I know, think we were friends already on like Facebook and stuff, just from being in like some of the same circles, I think. And then,
yeah. I thought you were named Peter Parker
yeah,
for a
yeah,
long time.
yeah, yeah. So if you guys don't know, I had my Facebook account got deleted. Um, Forget what year that was. I think it was like maybe 2018 or something like that. And because from I was always just posting clips from like UFC stuff and just not really thinking about it like that they were gonna be really like I would get like blocked for a little while, and then they would always let me come back, and it was usually nothing crazy. It was almost always even something like, it wasn't like I was like streaming whole fights or anything like that. It would be like one little clip or something like that that I would be like, hey, check this out.
Oh
And
wow.
you would think they would actually want people to do that and like help promote their company, but they don't need my help, obviously.
Were you getting
So
clipped by the UFC or by Facebook?
uh I'm assuming UFC told Facebook to get me. You know what I
Oh
mean?
wow.
Yeah,
That's
they must
crazy.
have some kind of algorithm in there that, like, once they catch it, they so I had too many strikes. And then I tried, because I'll see people's name on there will be like what their first name and like their middle name or something like that. So I tried like 20 different Farrell, Jason Daniel, Jason Daniel Farrell, like all these things, and it would go up for like a couple seconds, and then they would zap it again.
Oh
So
wow.
I was like, all right, well, I guess we'll go with Peter Parker and see if it works, and it's stuck. And then now I'm just kind of stuck with it.
That's funny. Yeah.
um, but yeah, you had put up a post looking for gym in Maryland, because you had Holly, who was one of your students, was going to be moving up here, and we were lucky enough to get her with us. She's an
She's a
awesome
cool
addition.
chick, man.
She really is.
She's a tough girl too.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I had an instructor at my academy tried to talk her out of fighting in the national tournament. I was like, hell no, girl, you should fight. Like, damn, you should definitely fight. It's your
Yeah.
time. Like
Yeah.
now's the time to test it out
Yeah.
for sure.
No, she's a beast.
Yeah.
We're happy to have her. Obviously, she was a really big part of Aaron's training, leading up to a lot of stuff over those last few years. Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
My hair is crazy. I was supposed to get it cut right before we went to Nashville, and I thought I left on a different day,
Yeah.
and then I was gonna try to get it cut when I got down there, and just it was too busy, so I just look like a wild man now. But yeah, no, she's been great. We were hoping to bring her down, actually, to Nashville for this tournament. She had uh something with her neck, like a pinch, like a nerve or something was bothering her, so she wasn't really able to. She was in full swing for a little bit, and then the neck thing came up, and yeah, so it was a bummer. So hopefully we'll get her back
Hmm.
in there soon.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Yeah, she's great. So
Yeah.
let's talk about you, man. You got all kinds of cool stuff going on all the time. That was one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. And I got to spend a little bit of time with Rob out in Atlantic City for the that Joe Louis convention, and we were talking, just about stuff we could do, or anything I could do to try to help, just help push things forward and stuff, because you guys are doing so much already, and I feel like
Yeah.
we need more people definitely getting involved and trying to help get the word out there about all the stuff that Rob's been putting together. So one of the things that we talked about doing was just trying to get some more people from the WAKO circuit on the podcast, and get the word out there. So you were one of the first people I thought of. I was like, oh, I definitely gotta get Mark on, because you always got all kinds of
For
stuff
sure, man.
going on.
Yeah. I mean,
What so
Waco's.
Go ahead, you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say Waco's just an amazing organization, man. Like, growing up, uh, kickboxing and everything, I knew about the PKC, WKA, IKFs, and things like that. But I'd heard of WAKO, you know, here and there, but never really experienced it. But you know, once I got a chance to experience what WAKO was about, it really changed my perception of where America was in the sport of kickboxing. It wasn't good either.
No, it's crazy. Yeah. So what got you started on your martial arts journey in the first place?
Well, so I'm half Korean and half German, and grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. So I had to defend myself a lot. It was what it was, man.
Yeah.
You know, half of the brothers out there were my friends, and the other half couldn't care less about me. You know what I mean? And it just was what it was. So my mom put me into karate and taekwondo, and that shit didn't work in the streets at all. So eventually I was like, when I was 14 years old, I got into a pretty bad street fight. Actually, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe. Yeah. Pretty gnarly scar on my elbow.
Yeah.
I had to get my elbow reconstructed because a guy wanted to fight me because I was Chinese. And I'm not even Chinese. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, that was the kind of the pivotal moment for me where I really started taking training seriously. So I started getting into some stuff called Bojuka, which is kind of similar to close quarter defensive tactics. And I guess you could say Krav Maga for people that don't know.
Yeah.
It was similar to that. And then after that, I actually got into boxing and kickboxing. And that really is where I think I supercharged my martial arts journey. After that, I started diving into a little bit of jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and but I always kind of migrated back to kickboxing. Kickboxing was always my favorite, you know. I just had a natural knack for it. So I love the art, and I love to me it's beautiful. It's like being in a live action video game and being part of it. It's so fun to me. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree. I've kind of the last few years, you know, I feel like in 93, Hoist Gracie had his thing, and then like jiu-jitsu exploded, and then I feel like there was this thing coming up all the time where it was like, you know, 90% of street fights end up on the ground and this and that. And then for some reason, like the last few years, I started thinking about it, and I was like, I got into a lot of street fights as a kid growing up too, and I was like, I don't really remember any of them going on the ground. But I also, like you, I started in Taekwondo when I was 6 and did Kyokushin and stuff like that. So I think part of it was like knowing how to move and not just smashing into each other or just you know, wrapping each other up and stuff like that. And I was like, you know, I feel like actually that's probably not a valid claim. You know, I think if people start learning how to move a little bit more, they probably
you obviously knew how to move better than I did, because
those are ending up. Did yours end up on the ground a lot?
I mean, a couple of times, but
yeah, like here and there, but it's not like 90%. Like I feel like that number gets thrown around out there.
I didn't start winning street fights until after this thing happened, and I started taking it seriously, you know, started getting into the other arts. But yeah, it was you know, we just grew up in a rough neighborhood, that's all. And you know, I'm not mad about it. I'm actually, in a weird way, kind of thankful. Like if that would have never happened to me, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't have had the experiences. I wouldn't have met all the cool people in my life. So it's kind of weird. I almost want to thank the guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd like to kick his ass still, but I owe him a debt of gratitude as well.
Yeah. First the fight, then beer afterwards. That's usually how it works anyway, right? That's awesome. Right. When did you open your gym?
In 2005. Yep. At the end of 2005. Yep. And then 2006, we went to the IKFs that year. And you know, one of the kids that we had to fight against was, I guess, chosen to be on the team for WAKO to compete in Croatia. And I had been training this kid for 10 months. He had 3 fights, but my kid knocked this guy out.
Oh shit.
And the other guy was undefeated. So they were like, well, damn, we'll just take your guy. you know, because
Right.
obviously he's the better guy in the nation. So we want our best chances over there.
Yeah.
And it was really cool, man. Like when I went to Croatia that year, that was for me the absolute turning point where I knew I needed to be in the sport of kickboxing.
Right.
We get there and there was like, I don't know, 70 or 80 or 90 countries or something crazy like that over there in Croatia. And I think America had 3 fighters. So we had a guy named Simon Butner, Nathan Key, and gosh, I forgot the other girl's name. She's going to kill me. I think her name was Sarah, but we had 3 fighters. The Russians had 80 fighters.
Oh yeah, man. They
And
come
I was like,
easy.
wow. So the kid I was training, you know, he had 3 fights. The first guy he fights right out of the gate is a Russian with 70 fights. And they're 17 years old, right? 70
Right.
kickboxing matches. And if anyone has grown up in America, it's really difficult to get 70 kickboxing matches by the time of being 17.
Yeah.
We
Sure.
just don't
By
have
the
the
time you're
volume of
40.
tournaments.
Yeah.
Right. So he beats that guy. He knocks out the Bosnian champion.
Damn.
And then he fights another Russian with 50 fights. And he lost a razor close decision, which we all thought he won.
Yeah.
But he ended up winning fighter of the year that year. So for me, that was a good little feather in my cap for,
Yeah,
you know,
huge.
coaching ability. And, Rob's a smart guy. So he didn't just like, shoo me in as a coach, as a permanent staple. You know, I had to kind of vet myself. And then next year came along, I cranked out a bunch more champions. Next year came along, I cranked out a bunch more champions. So they started seeing this pattern like, man, Mark's really cranking out new guys all the time. He's always cranking out new champions. So, and I think we built a good friendship and a level of trust. And, I've cornered many of his fighters and he's done the same for me. So, we trust each other's decision making
Yeah.
processes in the corner, So
That's huge.
yeah.
And you so yeah, one of the other things I like about you, and it's something that I've always been proud to be able to claim too, is you train fighters in all combat sports. So you have, boxers, MMA fighters, kickboxers, everything. What do you think is like the most important ingredient to being able to train fighters in multiple disciplines?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is to be open-minded.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, like my forte is the striking.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, when I opened Greubel's mixed martial arts, there were no mixed martial arts schools. Like people even like half of my calls were, what is mixed martial arts?
Yeah.
I had to explain to them what mixed martial arts was. Now, I wasn't the best jiu-jitsu guy in town, right? So I didn't have to be, because my whole concept was to have a mastermind group of coaches. So I hired the best grappling guy in town, and together we built a pretty awesome fight team. I was friends with Forrest Griffin, who lived here in Augusta, Georgia, before he became the Ultimate Fighter Season 1 winner.
Yeah.
We used to hang out. I used to be in a speed metal band, and he'd come hang out with us and hit mitts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'd go running with him, and he would kick my ass running. I couldn't believe it. This guy was 240 pounds, and I was 140 pounds. He was smoking us, man.
Got them long
The
legs.
guy's got unbelievable cardio. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But yeah, I'm so happy for him. Like, he's done some amazing things. I've lost my train of thought here, but
No, we're just talking about the important ingredient of training multiple athletes in different sports and stuff.
Oh yeah. I would say being open-minded. Like for me personally, my forte is striking, so I like kickboxing and boxing the most. And a lot of times when people see my boxers, they're really amazed by their footwork, but I'm showing them Muay Thai and karate footwork.
Yeah.
So they're boxing these guys lights out using Muay Thai and karate footwork, and the guys have no idea what the hell they're doing. It's pretty funny, actually, because a lot of my boxers will get crap. They're like, man, why are you training with that karate dude? Why are you training with that kickboxer dude? He don't know shit about boxing, right? And then we go in there, we light these guys up, and they're like, what the fuck? They have no
Yeah.
idea what just happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's really cool.
Yeah.
I've always been open-minded. I was a huge Bruce Lee fan. I
Mhm.
keep what is useful, throw away what is not.
Yep.
I love that. And that's just always kind of been a part of our shtick, our staple. That's what we do. We
Yeah.
keep what's useful, and I train everybody differently. I
Mm.
was always when I competed, I was never the biggest, fastest, strongest guy, so I had to use strategy. Going into the fight, I had to have some type of ability to have a good strategy and the ability to adjust. And I think that is what really um, accentuates the better parts of my coaching. My guys can usually make adjustments on the fly, and we usually go in with a pretty decent strategy. Now, it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
There's tons of good coaches out there, tons of good fighters, and I can't fight the fights for them.
Right.
So you know what I mean? They're in there by themselves. But that's another thing I like about kickboxing and boxing and martial arts in general. It's like I realized at a real early age, man, it's not really the other guy who's my opponent, it's me.
Yeah.
If I can master myself, I can get good at this.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
like that because I played, baseball growing up my whole life, and I hated losing because somebody else screwed up, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
hated
that's a word.
losing when I
Bad
screwed
feeling.
up. Now everybody else is pissed off at me. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, 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 right. It works both ways
So
for sure.
yeah, so I like martial arts where if it's my fault, it's my fault, but I have to pay the price. If I screwed up, but I also reap the rewards if I did good, and I like that about it.
Yeah, 1000%. There's not many other sports like it for sure, especially for those reasons. It's funny you say that too. So we have a Sugar Ray's gym nearby here, and we'll send some
Uh-huh.
guys over there to spar sometime. And I had one of my amateurs, Elliot, would always go over there, and they called him the karate guy too. They're like, oh, you gonna let that karate guy beat you up? They called him a karate guy because they knew he trained, Muay Thai and kickboxing and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
same thing, he'll box their heads off. Just like you said, just having those different angles and just some
yeah,
different outlooks on stuff that they're not used to seeing. I feel like boxing is one of those sports, especially that they're really like closed minded about how things are done. A lot of times, it's a lot of coaching.
very close-minded.
And if you really
Yes,
pay attention, you can actually, kind of use it against them sometimes because
absolutely.
only going to do things certain way, and once you get to a certain spot, they're going to get stuck there and stuff like that. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so a lot of times, like when more high level guys go to spar or whatever, they have clinch techniques and like switch steps and like
Hmm.
just different angles that cover different distances that boxers are not used to, so it
Yeah,
becomes really effective for them
yeah,
you know
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
And a lot of my boxers, they're from, they like, going to the boxing clubs too. And, so they're used to traditional boxing. And then I show them something, they're kind of looking at me like, I
Yeah,
don't know about that, man. But
yeah,
they
yeah.
try it and they're like, man, this shit actually works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. You
Yeah.
gotta sometimes just gotta win them over with a little bit of technique and stuff for sure. And so
Yeah.
you do have some traditional martial arts training at your gym as well too.
Well, I had a karate and taekwondo background.
Right.
So I incorporate those style kicks
Mm-hmm.
in my gym. So I love spin kicks. I
Mm-hmm.
love axe kicks and crescent kicks and hook
Mm-hmm.
kicks. You know, so I teach my guys that type of stuff too. I really like, I don't know, like the Japanese style kickboxing where they have really crisp boxing hands and really high level kicks.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy watching that.
Yeah.
I like Muay Thai a lot too, but like I really like enjoy watching the really high level, crescent and axe kicks, and when guys can
Absolutely.
actually pull it off and stop people with it, spinning back kicks, spinning hook kicks.
No, it's
Those are
awesome.
fun to watch.
Yeah, I did taekwondo, got my black belt, and then moved over to Kyokushin, and competed and did that for a long time too. So same thing. I love adding all those kicks in.
Yeah,
People don't expect it. I feel like years ago when we first when we were kind of came, we started open the gym. I opened the gym in 2013. people were like, oh, they're just boxing, you know, like they kind of like downplayed the wins in Muay Thai and stuff like that. So like they just use boxing, and then it seems like now everybody's like incorporating more boxing training in that weren't before, at least, you know. And the
Right.
same thing with the kicks, you know, people would kind of shit on side kicks and spin kicks and stuff like that. That's not Muay Thai, or that's not this or that. And but you know, in kickboxing, I feel like you see it more, so it's not frowned. I mean, in Glory, they score it higher, you know, the exciting kicks and stuff like that. So but
Yeah.
now I feel like you're starting to see a lot more people want to go work with the traditional instructors and stuff like that, to add those layers into their game. And if it's stuff that, if you don't, even if you're not going to use it, if you don't know it, you'll never see it coming either, right?
Yeah, one of the things, like just sparring with that type of ability, it makes people hesitant when
Mhm.
they don't know what you're going to do. Like you're
Yeah,
hitting them with stuff from all kinds of different angles, and you're like, "What the hell? How do I defend against that?"
right.
I think when the UFC like hit the scene, Marco Ruiz is chopping everybody down with those
Hmm.
leg kicks and everything moved from like traditional stuff to like very simplistic,
Yeah.
2, 3 round kicks, very simple stuff. And, the simple stuff ended the fights most of the time. I
Hmm.
totally agree with that. But I think that people started moving away or just thinking that the other stuff doesn't work.
Right.
And that's not true. It
Hmm.
does work if you know how to apply it,
Yeah.
and it's just like anything else. It's like repetition. If you've had, 50 opportunities to throw a spinning hook kick in your life, or 50,000,
Right.
obviously the guy with 50,000 opportunities is going to be much more proficient at it,
Yeah.
you know?
100%.
Yeah. So I think people just kind of like, oh, well, I'm not good at that. So I'm not going to say that I rock with that style or whatever, but that's another thing, going back to being open-minded,
Hmm.
if those things work for a reason, and you just got to figure out where those times apply, So if you're just going to go out into the ring and throw a bunch of spinning hook kicks and,
Yeah.
axe kicks the whole time, you can't go back to the well over and over and over
Right.
again and
Right.
expect it to work. But if you throw it out there every now and again, when somebody's not expecting it, I mean, this stuff is super useful.
Yeah. Especially if you set it up well. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
You have any favorite, any like coaching accomplishments, anything? What's your anything like top 2, 3, something like that?
Man, I've had so many, like,
Sounds like you've had a lot. I was looking through your scrolling through the Instagram, even just like all kinds of cool
yeah,
stuff.
there's a time I really enjoy it when not when my fighter's getting his ass kicked, but when I can add to what's going on and have him come out of that.
Yeah, yeah, of
You
course.
know,
Hmm.
so I had a kid named Chris Richardson. It was his 8th kickboxing match,
Hmm.
and he was fighting Justin Lawrence, who had
Oh
115 fights and was the
shit.
the
Yeah.
winner of the Ultimate Fighter,
Yeah.
right?
He's a beast.
And I was like, yeah, he is a beast.
Yeah.
That boy can box. He can kickbox. Like, he is a bad mofo.
Yeah.
But my guy, I didn't tell him that. I didn't tell him who he's fighting because I knew if I told him, it was going to get in his head. So I
Right.
just didn't tell him. Well, the first round comes by, and I mean, he's just not doing anything.
Yeah.
My guy's just not doing anything. And Justin, squeaked out a little 10-9 round. So he wasn't throwing any technique. So I just sat in his stool, and he was like, "Coach, I'm tired. Can I sit?" And I was like, "No, you're not sitting in this. Like, you're not doing anything, man. What are you doing?" You know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
like, "Got this." He's throwing everything at you. He's literally throwing hook kicks, boxing, everything at you. Has he hurt you? No. Are you tired?
Yeah.
No. Well, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
fired him up. By the end of the corner, he's like flaring his nostrils, and he goes out there and smashes him the second
Oh
round.
shit.
I mean, smashes him,
Yeah.
right? The third round happens. It is razor thin. So he loses a split decision,
Damn.
and
Yeah.
Justin is like limping out of the ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Comes to our locker room afterwards and is like, "Yo, man, how many fights you have?" He's like, "8 fights." Damn, man. He's like, "You're the biggest 105-pounder." He's like, "You're badass for 8 fights, man. Don't give up." And I have a lot of respect for Justin's team because his team, they have some really good fighters, and Justin's a badass too. So
Yeah,
I mean,
Justin's
I have a
great.
lot of respect for those guys. But when somebody goes into that fight or flight and they can't pull themselves out, and I can help them get out of that, that makes me really happy. We just had an incident at the WAKO tournament, this past tournament. I don't know if you got a chance to see. I had a tall black kid, about 6'3". He's
Yeah,
a
I know what you're talking
junior.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, he fought Ethan Halsey. I think Ethan is like 70-0 or
Dang.
something crazy like that, right?
Right.
So my kid Cameron lost to him before. So he gets through his first fight and he has to meet Ethan in the finals. And they're going back and forth. Cameron's gotten a lot better since the last time they fought. He put in a lot of work to get prepared for this, but he's losing by a small margin. Just, Ethan's just a point or two ahead every round, right? So the third round, between second and third, I said, Cam, I said, man, it's go time, baby. Like, you got to put him on his heels. I was like, you're trying to outpoint a point fighter. It's not happening. He's 64-0 as a point fighter. Like, you're not going to beat him in the point. I said, you got to turn it into a fight, man. Put him on his heels for a minute and a half. You do that for a minute and a half and you win this 2-minute round. You got it? He said, yes, sir. I said, are you going to win this fight? He says, yes, sir. I said, do you believe that, son? And he said, no. And he started crying. And I was like, oh my God, we're screwed. I was like, I didn't say that, but I was like, oh my God, we're screwed.
Yeah.
What the hell do I do? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, think, Mark, think. I said, all right, Cam, just go there. I want you to drive your right hand through his face, man. Just walk him down the whole time. I don't care what he throws at you. Walk him down, okay? So he goes back out. And the first right hand he hits him with, I said, Cam, you're winning. You're winning. Go, go, go. And he looks at me like these big ass eyes and he goes, okay. And he's like bringing it to, and he starts winning. He actually dropped Ethan. The ref didn't call it a knockdown, but he dropped him. And it was a razor close fight. So he dug himself out of the hole, starts to take a lead, and loses the lead the last 24 seconds of the fight. Damn. But that right there was one of my favorite coaching moments of all time. And it just happened this past weekend. That's because awesome. My entire team got to see it.
Right.
And after the fight, I pulled them all in. Cameron was emotional. It's the second time he's lost to Ethan. And no, Ethan's a badass little fighter, and we have a lot of respect for him. But I said, Cameron, you don't understand what you just did, my friend.
Yeah.
I said, you were losing the first 2 rounds. You know why? It's because you didn't believe in yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
The only difference between round 3 and the first 2 is that you believed that you could beat him. I said, I lied to you that third round. You weren't winning. You were losing big time. And because you thought you could beat him, you started turning it on.
Yeah.
And my team was like, oh man, that's some Yoda shit right there. That was like, they're like, Coach, that was brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Like all the WAKO guys, like Rob was behind me and a couple of the other guys, the officials, they're looking at the scorecard like, what the fuck? This guy's not winning. Like, they're looking at, and then they realized what I was doing.
Yeah.
And they saw that Cameron started winning and they're like, oh, okay, cool.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, so
that, for me, that was one of my favorite.
Yeah, that's one that's going to stick for a long time, I think, for sure. That's awesome.
I think what it did for everybody else and their confidence, they're like, man, if I just believe in myself, I wonder what I could do. Because we all have that little hint of doubt, right?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's awesome.
Erasing that doubt, it made all the difference in the world, and it was so obvious in his performance,
Yeah. And it's great, like you said, it's great for the rest of the team to see stuff like that, because then their outlook on, just your ability to get them up where they need to be changes a lot too. I always notice stuff like that too when we do like smoker exhibition events here all the time, and those are always actually really good for the team because they're at that stage. If they listen, they do really well, and then the rest of the team sees them listen and they're like, oh man, if I do what coach says, I'm going to do really well in this thing. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how it's supposed to work. That's why I'm sitting over there. Like, use me, listen to what I'm saying, follow instructions as best as you can. And then you'll start to see some of that stuff on your own. and you'll be able to use your your instincts a lot more as you get going. But in the beginning, especially, you got to pay attention and listen. Oh my, sorry, this light went out. It always does this. Have those motion sensor. Oh, there we go. When the coach when the coach is giving you stuff and it's working, you got to stick with it, and pay attention. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm sure that was huge for the rest of the team for sure too, to see that.
Yeah,
That's a
and the
big
kid that
moment.
fought, what that's going to do for him in the future,
Oh yeah.
whether it be school or girls or job interview, like,
Hmm.
man, he's going to remember that moment and say, you know what, just believe in yourself. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I know I can do this, and that, man, I was teared up
Yeah.
after that fight because
Yeah. I
I
bet.
realized what these guys just witnessed, and it was so beautiful to actually watch it transpire.
Yeah.
That to me was cool. So, and he lost the fight. You know
Right.
what I mean? So, but in my lifetime, that was my biggest accomplishment. That
Yeah.
kid will never be the same fighter.
No,
He will
never.
always be a beast now going
Yep.
into every fight.
Everything.
You know what I
His
mean?
belief in himself, and like you said, and it'll definitely trickle over into everything else. Everything else that he
Yeah, for
does.
sure.
Man, that's awesome. And then, so,
Yeah.
did you your brother fought as well? Did you train him, or were you did you corner him and stuff when he fought?
Yeah, my brother was a beast, man. He was the first ever 6-time IKF world champion.
Damn.
He um he was 29-1 overall, but what do you call it? He went undefeated when he fought in the World Combat League.
Yeah, I saw he
He
fought
actually
there. That was awesome.
he actually beat the league MVP. He won his match against the league MVP,
Yeah.
which I don't know why John didn't get league MVP if he did that. But
Right.
anyways, he was undefeated. He was the only welterweight to go undefeated that year.
Damn.
But he was awesome, man. He was so slick, and me and my brother both, we have a pretty good, pretty good boxing background. I coached at
Mhm.
the boxing club for 6 years, you know, so he and I both incorporate really high level boxing with, karate, taekwondo, Muay Thai
Right.
style kicks, and just really worked out well. But yeah, he was awesome. When he was 17, he broke his neck and he had to wear this halo thing, like surrounded his head, is on his shoulders. He couldn't move. He was like, one of these guys for
Yeah.
3 or 4 months. And then a year later, he won a world title. It was like,
Holy
man,
shit. He's like,
yeah,
was that Vinny Paz? The
yeah. I
boxer
mean,
that
it's
guy.
just,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, he's nuts. But yeah, we did two. We won two of those out of my mom's garage. I always
Damn.
joke around and say we had the most successful garage in America.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds like it. Yeah, World
yeah,
Combat League was cool. I was I always liked that. I feel like it was a little ahead of its time. Like, I think if it was something that had come out a few years later, even maybe I probably would have stuck around a little bit longer. And so many good fighters, some really amazing fighters have come from there.
yeah.
Um,
Pat Barry fought in
yeah,
that.
Pat Barry, Raymond
Yeah, the guy who
Daniels,
fought Pacquiao.
the
God, what was his name?
Chris Algieri.
Algeria.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep. No, a lot of big fighters came out there. Have you seen
Steve Thompson.
the karate? Yeah, of course. Yeah, Wonder Boy. Can't forget Wonder Boy, obviously.
Yeah,
Have you seen the Karate Combat League that they got going now too? It's still a little similar.
yeah. That looks cool, man.
I'm excited about that.
That looks,
I think it's cool to have another something like that to kind of come up and give people. And you said they signed Gabriel Varga over there, so hopefully that brings some attention to it from like the kickboxing
I'm a big
community.
fan of Gabriel Varga.
Yeah,
I think
he's a
he's a very
monster.
intelligent fighter.
Yeah.
Like he's not just like, just a brute. Like he's very like skillful and
Mhm.
very methodical in his thought
Yeah, he's
process and how he
strategic.
breaks people down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's surgical
very
with
good.
it. I like him a lot. I like
Yeah,
to watch a lot of his YouTube breakdowns. He breaks stuff down really well. I like his channel. Um
yeah,
yeah, hopefully that becomes something big too. It's just good to, I feel like, to have more options for the strikers out here. Even
yeah.
just even just in the sense of negotiating money and stuff, between, for a while there it was really just Glory, and now you got ONE FC obviously too, but that's kind of like, that's probably going to start to get tougher to get to at some point. They're going to only want big names and stuff, so it's good to have some other options like that. to keep
Yeah.
the guys that just want to strike busy, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
How'd you
I
get
you know
involved?
what?
Go ahead. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I really feel like, high level karate doesn't get, it's just
Oh
like
yeah.
they don't get enough respect, you know. But going back to being open minded, like I try to pull from all those different arts,
Mhm.
that that are effective. And the one thing I could say about karate, that Stephen Thompson's a good model to prove the point. I mean, if you can't hit the guy, it's hard to hurt them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So like is even with Steven not necessarily being like a low kick specialist or anything, he was able to avoid a lot of damage to the legs just with his brilliant movement and his
Yep.
ability to blitz without getting hit and then get out of the way. um so I that's what I'm excited about, seeing the karate combat. I like seeing that style of fighting when guys are good at it, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
100%. Yeah. We actually the national tournament, I have and I was kicking myself. I had this guy Roger Corbin. He's like 4-1 or 5-1 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So not a ton of experience, but he's got it though. Like he's uh fights between like 170 and 180. He fought the 189 for this one just because he's been out for 4 years.
Okay.
Um, and so the weight, I was like, well, don't kill yourself. Like, let's just, we'll get to into the 70s next time. But he's like 5'4", 5'5", something like that. So he's short for
Uh-huh.
that weight class, but he gets inside and he's like a Mike Tyson. He lets the hands go.
5'4" at
Yeah,
185.
bro. But
Holy smokes.
he's like a little tank though. All muscle,
Holy
like just.
smokes.
Yeah, I'll send you a little clip or something so you can check him out. Yeah,
Yeah, for
he's so
sure.
like he's fought pretty much all 6'2", 6'3", and above guys, and so his very first fight ever was on Lion Fight, which was a crazy place to debut, and
Wow. Like his
fought a
first
guy was
fight ever?
first fight ever amateur. Yeah. I
Holy
happened to
smokes.
already have somebody on the card, so I was like, if you
Yeah.
guys need an amateur, and they were like, actually, we do need a 185, and I was like, fuck it. It was that guy's debut too.
Yeah.
He just came out, knocked him down 3 times in the first round over super
Wow.
quick. That guy just wasn't, that guy wasn't ready for that type of pressure because he was like kind of like a slower paced Muay Thai type fighter.
Yeah.
And then so we get a call 2 weeks later, literally 2 weeks later. Um, Glory, I had a pro fighter on Glory in Virginia, and
Uh-huh.
they wanted somebody. They wanted to know if I had any amateurs that were in the military because they wanted to do one of those like military prestige fights
Right, right.
at 185. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I hit him up. I'm like, Raj, what do you think? You want to do this thing? I'm like, what's you're 1-0 as an amateur. Worst case, you take a loss. I'm like, I think you'll be fine. And I knew
Yeah.
the guy he was fighting was really good, but not like he was more of an MMA guy too, so he wasn't
Yeah.
like a total full on just like vicious kickboxer.
Yeah.
And it was super close. I think he got a knockdown in the first round that they didn't count. They said it was a slip, and I feel like that could have
Yeah.
won us the fight. Yeah, but and long story short, he ended up losing that fight. I think by a split decision. But it was still cool. It was like televised on Glory. It was insane. So his first 2 fights, he's Lion Fight, and then 2 weeks later on a televised card for Glory, and then won a WK tournament, and he had like one more, just like like no, yeah, the title fight, and then one other like little single just one off fight or whatever, and then he's been out for a while. But anyway, so I was really excited to get him into WAKO because I'm like that's like perfect for your style. And
Yeah.
he ended up drawing. He got a guy from Amari Boyd's gym, and I just hadn't seen anybody go to the well, which is crazy because I come from that background. All the whole fight right out the gate, he's just side kicking to the head, and not hard, like nothing that was like snapping Rogers' head back, but he was able to kind of keep him at bay and kind of keep him from really getting in there and letting his hands go like he
Your,
normally would.
your
Um,
screen froze up. I missed
Oh,
the
do you
last
have?
few seconds of
Oh
what.
yeah. So the guy's just side kicking and kind of keeping him at bay.
Yeah.
And then kind of figured so Roger without thinking about it, started catching the side kicks, and
Ah,
they were smart. They were like, oh, he can't help it, so they kept throwing the side kicks, and he actually lost 2 points that way too. So yeah, I've been bugging
ah,
Rob. I'm like, you gotta let me get a chance to get him into another fight and get him in front of you. And I'm done. So we'll see. Hopefully there's hoping they do another event sometime this year, like the one that they did in Nashville, just like a single, like a fight night or something.
yeah,
And we're talking about trying to get something going out this way too. I'd like to start doing some just single night events for all under the WAKO banner in DC maybe, or
yeah.
potentially even Delaware or something like that. So just to try to get some more stuff going out here on the East Coast and get some more of the East Coast gyms involved and stuff like that too.
And so in Maryland, you can't have kickboxing matches.
Right. Yeah. So the rules that are in place are still like, from the 80s, like almost like full contact. So it's like
Hmm.
all kicks above the waist. You have to, this, what is it, 7 or 8 kicks around, otherwise the points get deducted,
Oh,
that
so
kind
it's
of thing.
only full contact rules.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
just, I mean,
And
that's,
I've been fighting the athletic commissioner about it for, I don't know, maybe 10 years or something. We've
oh
been
my God.
going back and forth, and he's just lazy, man. That's all it boils down to. And it sucks because it's not a legislative thing, where, because I actually had a state delegate like ready to uh submit it for me and put a bill in and do all the stuff,
Yeah.
and it got shut down because they're like, well, it's a regulatory thing, because technically it is legal, it's just not the rules that we want, so it has to just be amended. So basically it falls back on him just having to do the work, and he's just lazy. So
You
he
know
doesn't
what?
do it.
That is another thing that I'm very like happy to see coming with the whole WAKO movement.
Hmm.
Like we won't have to worry about all that nonsense.
Yes, yeah. I think I put that in my notes to you when I sent you the stuff. But yeah, absolutely, that's super important. But you talk about, because you probably talk about it better than I do.
Well, just like every state is different. Every state has their own rules. Like sometimes you can low kick, but you can't kick the inside of the leg
Yeah.
because certain states won't allow it, or you can't kick the calves because certain
Mm.
states won't allow it. With WAKO, we already have unified rules throughout the globe, you know. And I think the biggest blowback, like from other gym coaches or other competitors in America about the whole WAKO movement, where they're like, well, I don't like the rule style and I don't like the point system. Like, well, if you want to kickbox, it really doesn't matter if you like it or not, because that's where it's going. It's like already everywhere across the world, right? So if we as a country want to be able to compete with the rest of the world, we need to learn how these rules work, how the
Yes.
scoring systems work, and how we can get good at this. And I knew that very early on into my, with my dealings with WAKO. I was like, okay, I got to learn how to do this. I got to make sure these guys can compete at a high level.
Hmm.
And honestly, man, America's been at a deficit because like a lot of the European teams, they'll get funded by their governments.
Hmm.
Asian teams, they'll get funded by their governments. So like they get free training, they get free travel. If they win a tournament, they'll get $3,000 or $4,000 equivalent US. Whereas for us, we got to pay for our flights, pay for our hotels, pay for everything, food and everything,
Yeah.
pay for the training, and get nothing if we get a gold
Yeah.
medal. So,
A high five in the middle.
hopefully when this becomes an Olympic sport, which we're, very close now for it getting that full recognition, that all that will change, but
Yeah.
until then, we got to just carry on. Guys like
Yeah.
you and I,
Yeah.
just,
Doing it for the
I
love.
mean, how much have you spent, right, going on these trips like
in
all over
in
the world?
2017, just between Aaron and I, we spent 15,000.
Exactly. Like I
Yeah.
spent 20 grand in Italy, like for me, my wife, and like a couple of my fighters, like
Yeah.
super duper expensive. I can't afford to do that all the time, but
All the time.
that
Yeah.
comes with the territory. Like I'm the
Hmm.
coach for these guys, and I'm a part of WAKO Team USA. Like I
Hmm.
have to be there.
Yeah.
So right now, I feel like guys like you and I are basically taking the bullet for future generations, so they don't
We
have
are
to do this crap.
Hopefully
You
they
know what I
remember
mean?
us.
Right. Yeah.
Remember me.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I have such like that's why I love Rob so much, man. This guy's, I mean, he spent a small fortune doing what he's doing. You
Yeah.
know, I've been with Rob since 2006.
Yeah.
He started before me, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, man,
Nah, he's a
here we
beast.
are. What? Yeah, what is it? It's 2022. So what's that? I don't know. My math is terrible. How many years
It's like
is that?
14 years, something like that.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
Every
a long
year we're
time.
spending thousands and thousands of dollars going on trips, sometimes 2 or 3 trips, you
Yeah.
know?
It almost feels like an addiction sometimes. I tell myself, I'm like, why am I doing this? But you can't, you love it, like you just, and then as frustrating it is as it is to go back and, like I kind of felt like one of the things I've been trying to do, hopefully, to help out some is, I've been like reaching out to people and, trying to get them excited to become referees and judges. And
Yeah.
I've been looking at it like, all right, this is not a this year is a Pan Am's year, so we almost have like 2 years roughly to like try to drum up a bunch of officials in the states and try to get them on the path to eventually start traveling over to the when we go to Europe to fight and stuff. So I'm like, man,
Yeah.
we need some people, not obviously not to do us any favors, but just to help us get a fair shake. I think if we were able to like
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, man. Like, what's the girl that fought in Italy?
Destiny,
Like
the one that won by knockout and
Destiny.
still lost. Yeah, it was insane.
I've never seen that in my entire life. She
No.
freaking kneed this girl in the face, crushes her orbital socket,
Yes.
and the ref doesn't count for 17 seconds.
Yeah. I've never seen
My
anything like that.
God.
Because before you're thinking like, okay, we gotta knock him out, and then it's like not even that works. So you're like, how to? And then it's really tough because um, Aaron's fight in Bosnia, like that had been haunting me for because then we had COVID and all that stuff. So I'm like, I
Yeah.
just wanted to get that one out of my head because I gave her a bad game plan and she started rallying at the end and almost won the last 30 seconds. I
Yeah.
think at one point it was like tied up and then they just she didn't end up getting that win. So I'm like, all right, like you saw we were training like 4 times a day, like getting
Yeah.
ready in Italy, like we were like we gotta win this time, and she fought her ass off. And then it's hard for even to explain when you come back home because at the end of round one it's 2-1, at the end of round two it's 2-1, and then all the way until literally 10 seconds of round three it's 2-1, and then it went 1-1, 2-1 the other side, and we lost. And everyone's like, I
Yeah.
don't understand. I'm like, it is what it is, but we have it's such a big uphill battle with that, and it's hard to
But how do we get good at it, right?
yeah, and it's
We
hard to
got to go do it.
justify the money too, like sometimes
Yeah.
I feel like just to be like if we don't have if we're not even going to get a fair shake. So that's one of the things I'm hoping that um keeps taking fighters, and try to get some more people involved in the officiating process too. Again, like I said, not to be shady or anything like that. Just you need like I feel like you just got to inject some people with some of the other officials. Like
There's got to be pressure.
yeah, there's got
Like
to
if
be
there's no
something,
pressure for other guys to cheat, they'll go cheat. You know what I
right?
mean? Yeah,
And
we need.
even and I understand, even I mean, no matter what you go to a tournament and even in the United States, and if it's a team that's been coming to a tournament for a long time and they've been on the scene and everybody knows them, and it's a gym that isn't as well known or whatever it is, even if sometimes the fight's close, it's not even malicious. It's just like their brain just kind of already is in that
Mhm.
that area anyway. So I totally understand. It's a human thing. It's not necessarily always completely malicious. It's just we need some support in that area. I feel like so these athletes can go over there and actually have a shot at
Yeah.
getting a fair shake and being able to just being able to reap all the benefits and rewards that they work so hard for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I learned a long time ago that people don't really care if you say that you got robbed.
Oh yeah.
But this past tournament in Italy, we got robbed a lot.
Yeah,
you
quite a
know.
few fights.
Yeah, and that was really disappointing.
Yeah.
I don't mind losing fights, and I'm sure our fighters don't mind losing fights. But like I trained this guy, Jordan Willis, and he freaking won his fight.
Hmm.
Like we went back, we watched the tape. There's no way this other guy won this fight. Like
Yeah.
he just completely got robbed. And it really sucks when people put in all the effort. That's why we need the officials.
Yes.
That's why if you're out there and you want to referee or you know how to judge, you need to be with Team WAKO to help our country out
Yeah,
because
we need you.
we get screwed, sometimes. And it has nothing to do with, this because the sport is bad. The sport's awesome,
Sport's amazing.
but we need guys on our team that can be overseers to make
Hmm.
sure that if something goes wrong, hey, people can speak up about it.
Yeah.
And people are less likely to do shady stuff if they know they're going to, get the wrath of somebody on the other end of that. But right now, we don't have very many people to do that.
We
So,
don't. Yeah. And
Tim
it's a cool
Mazurkowitz is doing a
opportunity
great
to
job.
travel too. You're gonna be with the US team. Like we do some cool
Mhm.
stuff when we go on these trips. So it's
Oh, yeah.
definitely without not without its upside too. You're not just going to work all weekend. We do some cool stuff. So yeah, hopefully we can drum up some more officials to come with us and just help us get a fair shake. And they're gonna help shape history too. Because I do believe that the time is coming where we're going to be dominant because we're there. Like if you look at how well some of the fighters compete with the fraction of fights that they have, like you
Yeah, those
imagine.
are our amateurs.
Right, our amateurs.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even
Yeah.
bringing all of our pros.
No.
It's just
So
hard to convince those guys to go do it when they're
yeah,
like,
because
we're
they don't
not going
want
to
to
get paid and
spend
I got to
money
pay
and
my way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know the time is coming. We're there, and you said teams like you and Rob and like Chris and all those guys that have been doing it for years and kind of leading the way, even for somebody like me who's just kind of getting into it finally now. So I'm kicking my 2016 I was gonna bring people to the expo, the UFC expo to compete. And we had Tony Cummings and Ashley were there, and we're good
Yeah.
friends with that team. And we were like,
Yeah.
I forget what happened. We ended up not going out. I really wanted to take Aaron that year. I forget what happened. We ended up not going. Um,
That was a good tournament.
yeah, I heard that one was awesome too.
Yeah.
I feel I know I would have I'm kicking myself mostly because I know I would have linked up with you guys back then and would have been with you guys a lot longer too, which would have been really cool.
Hey,
Because
but
I
you're
had
here
some.
now, man. That's
Yeah,
what's
that's it.
important.
I'm excited,
Yeah.
man. I'm really grateful. You guys have been super welcoming, and it's been awesome to go on the trips with you guys and get to know everybody
Yeah.
and learn. I've learned so much, even just in the last couple of years, like stuff that I need to make sure that we're training and drilling into our stuff to make sure that we're because the WAKO kickboxing style is there's some specific things that you got to make sure and don't do and
Right.
the scoring and everything. And people bitch about stuff, but to me it's super exciting. I feel like I really it's a style that I've really grown to love a lot. And it's just a matter of getting everybody on board and to understand how it's done so they can compete, as efficiently as possible. I feel like too.
Yeah. Yeah, for
For
sure.
actually, and that kind of goes into my next question. I was going to ask you, uh, what do you think? Like, what do you think the best way for people to kind of get on board with the movement for WAKO, of other teams that are kind of getting into that kickboxing space?
Well, you definitely need to attend the WAKO US tournament.
Hmm.
That is how the coaches and officials get to put their eyes on you, you know. And if you place in the national tournament, you're seeded to go fight overseas, right? So the last year's national tournament, the guys that competed in that, there were several weight classes that were going to be into the world game. So if you won that national tournament, you automatically got seeded to represent the USA possibly at the world games by getting your spot on the world championships. If you place in the top 8 at the world championships, you get to fight on the world games. I mean, like, I don't know any of the other organizations that are on as big a platform as the world games, for the sport of amateur kickboxing. It just doesn't exist, right?
Hmm.
So, like, I don't know, to build out what we need to do to compete with the rest of the world, like we need everybody involved, you know?
Yeah.
So I will say this though, when I first joined up with WAKO, there were no WAKO tournaments in America. There
Right.
were no WAKO fights in America that I knew of. And I think 2018, I threw a national tournament in Augusta, and I was like, man, you know what? We have to knock this out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
So I I rented out this old theater that just had a $22 million refurbish, and it was like a beautiful theater downtown in Augusta, Georgia. And we had lasers and lights for
Oh
the
shit.
fighters when they came out to the ring, and
Yeah.
it was lit. It was like a pro fight, for every amateur final.
Yeah.
So it was cool. They got to pick out their walkout songs, and it
Damn.
really made a statement. Like
Right.
now it's like we're putting the other organizations on check. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like they have to step up their game. And so that tournament had like 100, I think, fighters. The next year
Okay.
it doubled.
Yeah.
The next year after that, it was almost 300. But COVID hit. Even with
Yeah.
COVID and all that, we still had close to 300 fighters. It was pretty incredible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I mean, it's growing. The movement is definitely growing. And now that more gyms, like guys like yourself, guys that are coming into the organization who haven't experienced it before, now they're getting to see the level that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, being the best guy in the United States, I'll be honest with you, it's not that hard
Yeah.
compared to being the best guy in the world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's just not that hard, because what we're used to seeing is here
Yeah.
compared to where
Yeah.
the guys in Europe and Asia are seeing. They're seeing
Big
that
time.
they're fighting every week,
Right.
So we definitely need to pick up the pace, and I think we could dominate, just like you said, man.
Yeah.
It pisses me off that we don't dominate.
I know.
You know what I mean? Because
that's where
yeah,
that credit
I
card
like to
comes back
see.
in. Like, I'm going back next year. I don't care.
It's funny, Jason. Like my wife used to give me a lot of shit for going on these trips. She's like,
Mhm.
why are you spending ungodly amounts of money?
Mhm.
I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna take her,
Yeah,
right? And then I took her, and she's like, oh, I get it
she
now.
gets it now, huh?
I get it.
Yeah.
And then we get back, and like she's like, God damn it, Mark, we gotta build our team. Like she's like the biggest advocate
That's
now. It's
awesome
like,
though.
what
Now
can we
she's on
do?
board.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
But
awesome.
it's a matter of her actually seeing all the blood and the sweat and the tears that we put into that, all
Yep.
the training, and then us going over there, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And watching our guys compete, and we're like this close,
Yeah.
we're so close to
So
being where,
close.
yeah, man. And then she's like, man, we got to do better next year, so now she's like totally on board. And
That's awesome.
I love that about her. Like she's super supportive now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets in you. That's the thing. Like once you go, it changes you,
Yeah.
even I I think our first international experience we had as a team was 2000, I think it was 14. We took some people over to the WKA Worlds.
Yeah.
Um and we got some the fighters there aren't as high level as like WAKO and like IFMA and stuff like that, but it was like a good in between, but before we got to, and I feel like that was something that helped Aaron a lot too, even was she actually 20, I think it was 2015 in Spain, she fought the European WAKO champion in over there at the WK and won a super close fight. It was close though. It was a tough
Nice.
fight. The girl was a beast.
Aaron's a
um
beast, man.
Thank you, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. She just had surgery. She just had surgery on her knee. So
Okay.
she heard it before Italy. And we weren't really we had a couple of months before she went. So we just kind of we took like 3 or 4 weeks and just focused on getting it strong and not
Yeah.
really kicking or anything, and then slowly eased back into kicking. And yeah, it was, she in Italy she fought super hard, got kicked in it, didn't bother her at all. And then we
Yeah.
got had that still, like, you can get back, like you want to get back in there as quick as possible, especially after how Italy kind of went for us as a team. And they had the opportunity to go down to Mexico and fight again, and it buckled again kind of bad like a week before
Mm.
Mexico, and I was like, let's just let's just not go, but she was like, we paid for it, we're going. She wanted to fight, she didn't give a shit. So we went down, and um like right off the bat, she went to throw a low kick, and the girl kind of posted her out, and it buckled, and she hit her butt, popped right back up, and I actually like jump kneed the girl in the face with the bad knee, almost knocked her out, and
Oh my gosh.
like almost knocked the girl out in that round, but then she got stuck in the corner like the last like 10 seconds because she couldn't move side to side. So I threw the towel because I'm like, it just at this point it's not really worth it.
Yeah.
So I was a little
How is
worried.
that
What's that?
like for you to coach when your wife is in there? Like
It's it's brutal, man. It's
that would
so
drive
tough.
me nuts, man. Like,
It's
and
so tough
especially
because
when
I
your
want
wife
to
is
throw a
good.
brick at these girls sometimes. Like, get off my wife. Uh, but I mean, she's the best fighter I've ever trained. I mean,
Yeah.
um, and I mean that in like skill wise, but like when she gets in there, I mean, she'll fight whoever. She doesn't care. I
Yeah.
mean, she's just yeah, she's the fighter I feel like I always wished I could be. Honestly, I
Mm,
mean, I feel like sometimes her career is kind of my career too. Like I
yeah.
put as much of myself into what she does. I try to at least, and yeah, I mean, she's my most accomplished fighter. She's um the most decorated fighter in Maryland by far. Like I don't know if anybody will ever even catch up to her. She's
Wow.
uh Maryland, she's a Maryland State WKA champion, you know, national champion, North American WKA champion,
Yeah.
like RFS, like random shows and stuff like that, and then uh 4 gold medals at WKA Worlds,
Wow.
um, silver medal in at IFMA, which at the time she was the first American to even get to a gold medal fight in like 10 years. At
Wow.
the A class too, so it wasn't like it was B class; it was an A class fight.
Yeah, that's pretty tight.
Um, she should have won gold at Pan Am's and at IFMA as well too at the Pan Am's, but we kind of got jerked on that one. Everybody knows she won that fight though, so still technically silver medalist there. Um, she wants that gold medal at WAKO more than anything in the world. Like that's what
I tell
she
people all the
wants it
time,
so bad.
if you win the gold medal at WAKO, you are the best kickboxer in the
Mhm.
world at your weight. There's
Yeah,
no doubt
absolutely,
about it.
no question.
Those brackets are brutal, man.
Man, they're so good. It's
Like
it's exciting.
everybody is an Aaron,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's a Troy Jones. Like
No,
everybody is a freaking badass, you
it's
know?
crazy. Even people you
Yeah.
haven't heard of are better than everyone you know. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's
That's crazy,
awesome.
man.
It's exciting. It's exciting. But yeah, and we were down in Nashville the other day. She texted me and was like, I wasn't sure what she wanted to do because it's her third ACL surgery. And she
Yeah.
texted me and she's like, all right, this when this heals up, I'm coming back. And I was like, yes. So she's gonna take another run at it for sure. So those
Yeah.
girls better watch out. I can tell you that. She's coming
Right
coming
on.
back with a vengeance.
Right on.
And then I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I did want to touch on Double Jab too, because you got an awesome gear company.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into there? It is right there. How'd you get into that?
I I'm always on the quest for good gear.
Yeah,
And
it's another
I
addiction, right?
yes, man. I'm like, oh, look, that glove looks awesome. And I get it and it sucks, right?
Always
Like,
sucks, almost
oh
always.
man,
Yeah.
I bet I've spent thousands, and I bet I could have bought a car with all the crap that I've bought, that I just go, and I have to give it away to
Yep.
somebody because I don't
Yep.
like it. But the products that Double Jab carries are super well thought out. Like I have a boxing glove that's specifically made for boxing. I have a kickboxing glove that's specifically made for kickboxing. I have a Muay Thai glove specifically made for Muay Thai.
Mm,
And at first glance, you don't see all the awesome features and benefits of each of those gloves. But when I actually point them out to you and let you try them on and let you understand why they're made the way they are,
mm,
people really have they've really kind of turned on to it. You know what I mean? So just recently, we're starting to really get some traction now. Like we've landed several wholesale accounts, a bunch of other gym owners like, man, this stuff is awesome. Especially like the pads.
yeah.
Like I hold pads all day long.
Right.
And I know you do too.
Yeah.
So for me, I have to have a quality pad that's not killing my joints,
Mhm.
you know? So everything that we make is geared toward keeping the trainer safe. As
Mhm.
far as the pads are concerned, the gloves are just, I mean, they're just awesome. They our shin gear at the WAKO tournament, they've been using them since 2018. They're
Damn.
still,
No,
yeah,
they're
there's,
like
yeah.
brand
So
new. Yeah.
yeah, you think about that for a minute. You know what I
That's
mean?
crazy.
Like you get other gear and this like torn up right after the tournament. It's already
Off
screwed
just
up.
one person, or even just one person using that stuff in their own daily training and stuff. Absolutely. That's crazy.
Yeah, so they've been rocking those for 4 years now,
Damn. Yeah, that's
you
impressive.
know? Yeah. And that's a lot of hard fighting in those shin gear all day long, you know. So I don't know. I just said the hell with it, you know. If I can't find it, I'm gonna make it, you know.
Yeah.
And I linked up with some people that have really been awesome with working with me to build the perfect glove for every situation. And it's been, that's all she wrote. Now double jab starting to take off. We're starting to get some respect out there in the equipment community. People are really starting to like it and use it. They're even posting stuff on their social media about how awesome it is.
Yeah.
That's it's been cool. I really enjoy it, seeing other people dig our stuff.
That's awesome. And then what's the best way for people to reach out for you to like check it out and purchase and all that stuff?
Doublejabfight.com. You
Okay.
can just pull down the where it says contact, and you can email us there, or you can you know come to our academy here in Martinez, Georgia, and talk to us personally. But email usually gets the best response. We'll
Yeah.
get back to you as usually within the day. And yeah, and then we'll just move on from there once we get the introduction. It's real easy too. If you're a club owner, we just need a copy of your business license. That's it.
Nice.
And you'll get our products at wholesale, and you can share the awesome experience with your students.
That's awesome. Yeah, make sure I put a link in the description for you for all that stuff too. That
Okay,
we can
cool.
get that out there. The gear is incredible. Yeah, I got a chance to use the pads in Italy a little bit. And Aaron, you gave Aaron some shin guards in Bosnia back in
Yeah,
2019. Those are still going strong. And she
nice.
and she goes through stuff. So that's definitely a testament, because she trains hard and she trains regularly. So
Yeah,
she tears through things. So yeah, those shin guards are still going strong. So I know they're high quality. I'm not surprised that they're still hanging in there at the tournaments at all after
yeah.
after seeing
Like the 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 traditional Thai stuff, a lot of it you can't do boxing work with it. They're too
no.
heavy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So like you can't mix in almost like if you're doing Dutch style stuff,
Hmm.
or Japanese style kickboxing, it's very hard to do with traditional Thai mitts,
Yeah.
because it's so heavy. And like if you're holding for a left hook and you get hit up here, and it's like, oh, cranks on your
Yeah.
shoulders and your
Yeah.
elbows so hard. But the double jab ones are so light, you can actually get boxing work in it with as well.
Yeah.
Same thing with the shin guards. The shin guards are light, and I like kicking fast.
Right. Yeah,
So
me too.
having those huge, heavy shin guards is like no go for me. I like I
Right.
like the lighter stuff that's durable, that I can kick fast and do spin kicks and all kinds of stuff like that too. So,
Yeah, without hurting anybody. You got good padding in there too, so they're
yeah,
safer. They're safe on both sides, which is great.
for sure.
And then I know you had the podcast for a while. So are you still doing your podcast, or do you not have as
I'll
much
be
time for
honest
that?
with you, man. Like we were going strong there for a minute, and what kicked it off was COVID. Like we were like, okay, we can't have class. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, yeah.
We still kind of broke the rules with me and Sergio sitting next to each other,
Right.
but we had some cool guests on there.
You had some
Vanderlei
great guests.
Silva,
Yeah.
yeah,
The Albanian bear.
Shogun, yeah, yeah. Rashad Madi, Rashad?
Yeah, yeah. I actually
Yeah,
saw that YouTube video. I feel like that everybody saw of him way before anything. I just popped up on my YouTube feed one day, years and years and years
yeah,
ago, and I was like, oh man, this kid's awesome. And then I saw Rashad fight. He fought Rami Ibrahim's nephew at a WKA back in like 2012 or something like that. So I actually got to see him in
Right.
person there. But yeah, no, he's a hell of a kid. Oh, and then but since the YouTube video, I always followed his story to see what he was up to, because he's such an interesting you know, young guy for to do all the stuff that he was doing at that age. Is those are the kind of people you want to get behind, and because those are the ones that we need to beat all these Europeans, the ones that get
Yeah.
into that early and do all that stuff, you know.
I actually took Rashad to the Irish Open, I think in 2015 or 16. But I've known Rashad since he was about 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah,
Like his team, Bars Boxing, and our team, we'd always meet those guys in the finals. They have some really amazing fighters, you
yeah,
know. But we over the years we've grown some pretty close friendships. But yeah, Rashad's he's a beast. We always knew that he was going to be an incredible pro fighter.
yeah,
Like he's exceptional fighter.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's a beast. He's a beast. Yeah, I've seen some of his pro boxing fights and stuff, and just awesome to see that journey kind of unfold. And then
Mm-hmm.
what's next for you guys? What do you got coming up now for the team?
So next for Team Greubel, we have USA versus Spain, which is a
Right.
WAKO event. So I train a kid named Jamon Cook. He's going to be representing us at 140.
He's a great fighter.
Um, and he's fighting a tank out of Spain, a really short, stocky guy. But we studied his tape, and I have a good game plan. I think we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
Don't
Yeah,
want
that's
to let any
awesome.
cats out of the bag, but yeah, I think we have a pretty good game plan for this guy.
That's badass. Yeah, I think I told Rob I'll keep my people sharp just in case anything last minute comes up. I would love to have somebody on that show, but I think
Yeah.
we're gonna have somebody fight most likely April 1st in New York. And then I'm thinking about seeing if I can either get like a red eye straight out of New York, or maybe fly out early Saturday morning to try. I want to come. I really want to be there for that either way. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to come out and support you guys and make some noise and stuff like that. I think that's such a cool event. I'm
That'd be
excited to
awesome.
see it. Yeah. So I should be there one way or the other. Uh, Even if it's just in a supportive capacity. I just want to, like you said, try to get on the scene more, and try to just draw whatever of my audience that I have into it, and get more people's eyes on all the stuff that you guys are doing, that Rob's doing, because it's freaking awesome, man. There's a lot of cool stuff
Oh,
going on.
the next big thing, actually, Jason, is the World Games, which is
Right.
this July.
Oh man, I can't believe we skipped over that. Yeah, because I was so excited
Yeah.
because you were back in 2014.
Mhm.
You and Rob were working on getting that stuff. That's nuts, man. For it to be all these years later, it's got to be exciting to see it actually finally coming to. Because it's supposed to be last year, right? And then they moved it because of
Yeah. And
COVID or
then,
whatever, with all the stuff going on.
right. Just going to the World Games, and the World Games is basically the Olympics.
Right,
It's just
right.
like the Olympics. It's like the same sports. It's like the same sanctioning bodies from all over the world. It's
Hmm.
just like one step under in popularity. But um, it was really cool because when we were in Poland, the viewership for the sport of kickboxing was higher than any other sport, even all
Yeah,
the other traditional sports that had been in it for a long
yeah,
time. So that's a good sign, man. Your money talks, right?
yeah,
So if people like it, I think we have a really good shot at getting into the Olympics earlier than we thought.
yeah.
I'm hoping anyways, because it
Me
would
too.
it would just it just makes good business sense for them,
For
as
sure.
well. So,
So
anyways,
we gotta make sure we get everybody to watching the kickboxing events on at World Games. Then that's another big mission. Make sure that viewership is through the roof.
yeah, and it's here in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah. So yeah, people can all be able to get
So
tickets and go out and watch it live too, probably, right?
yeah, that's gonna be cool, man. I think and so we're debuting. If you guys understand what's about to happen, like I get it. Like we're debuting the sport of kickboxing in America
Yeah.
at the World Games.
Yeah.
$256 million of advertising is going to go into this thing, and kickboxing is debuting as a sport.
Yeah.
Our sport, Jason, is going to blow up, man.
Yeah.
It's going to blow up
Yeah.
because people are going to want to do it, and it's going to have the most viewership. I already know.
Yeah,
Like,
of course. Yeah, who I don't even all the other stuff that's on there does not very interesting. Even if I wasn't a like a kickboxing fan, I feel like that would be the thing I would gravitate towards the most, you know.
yeah, it's
So
easy to understand. It's
yeah,
exciting, and you know what I mean. It's fun to watch. So you're pulling for your warriors. I mean,
yeah.
it can't get any more exciting than that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't. I had all this stuff in my notes. And I can't believe I almost missed that. I'm glad you caught it. That's awesome. Yeah, so yeah, you guys make sure you tune in. I'll make sure I'm posting a lot of information as we get closer for that as well too, like in social media and all that stuff. We have 3 athletes going from WAKO. We have Bybee, Lily, and Amanda.
Yeah,
Amanda's been like the team captain, she's like Captain America for us, been for years and years now, been leading the charge for as far as the athletes go, competing at high levels and uh, been able to medal and stuff like that too. So, yeah, I feel like it wouldn't even make sense to have a U.S. team going up to the World Games without Amanda. So obviously we'll all be behind her, and then Lily's been doing great last couple of years. She just gets better
yeah,
and better the more she fights, and yeah,
yeah.
obviously, Mr. Bybee is a monster too. So we're excited about him, and
That
his
kid's
dad's a hell of
incredible.
a coach too. So they got a great team. They had some great fighters at the national tournament as well too.
Yep.
One of my guys, one of my little proteges, fought one of their guys in the very first fight we had of the weekend on Friday.
Hmm.
Um, Came up short. It was like one of those ones where it was like 12 to 14, 14, 14, 15, 14, 16.
Ah,
It was just the whole way through. And so it was exciting. I was telling, that was my guy Adrian. This is I think his fourth fight. So he's still kind of getting into the game a little bit. He was a little bit
yeah,
more of a Muay Thai guy before he came to me. So I'm trying to get his boxing. His boxing looked tremendous in this for the first time in
yeah,
these competitions, and obviously to be able to display um, that kind of jump up in his skill set against a team that's obviously one of the best teams in the country was really exciting too. So I was like, man,
yeah,
just hang your hat on that, and we'll go back to the gym and just kind of build off from there. But anyways, most importantly, make sure you guys tune in to the World Games for sure. Like Mark said, we got to make sure we support our American teammates and make sure that the kickboxing is the most viewed and attended. If you guys can get down there, definitely go down there too. We want to make sure we fill the stands up and chant USA and all that good stuff too, and make sure we're making some noise so they know what sport we really care about the most.
yeah, for sure.
Well, hell yeah, brother, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, man. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, so I appreciate you setting aside some time for me. Always great to catch up with you. Definitely one of my favorite people that I've met since getting involved with WAKO. So look,
Likewise, man.
I appreciate that. It means a lot. And I'll talk to you soon, man. We'll stay in touch. And just keep doing what you do. I'll make sure we'll put all your stuff down in the description too, so they can come check out the gym if they want to, and get at you for a double jab and all that stuff as well too.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Cool.